Okay, so here's the follow-up on how we calculate PM for the trapezoidal rule. So if you remember, we specify that PMX is equal to P0 plus P1X. This is for trapezoidal rule. Now what we're going to do is actually substitute in the two cases, which are going to be at the left hand and right hand side of this trapezoidal rule. So this is a xi, this is a xi plus 1. Here we have fi, here we have fi plus 1. This difference is delta x. So for our first case, we consider the situation where x is equal to xi, meaning that our function will be equal to fi. So from this, we can rewrite the equation that basically Pm of x is equal to fi, and this is equal to P0 plus P1. And since we are at this location, this will be our 0 reference point. So at this point we substitute in 0. From this we get the relation that P0 is equal to Fi. If we set x equal to xi plus 1, things get a little bit more complicated. First, we're here from a reference point of here, meaning that there is a space of delta x between the two locations. So our spacing here will be 0 plus delta x. And then secondly, the left-hand side of our function becomes fi plus 1. So we have fi plus 1, and that is going to be equal to P0 plus P1 times x, which in this case is going to be 0 plus delta x. Now, since we already know the value of P0, we can basically solve for P1. From this, we get that P1 is equal to Fi plus 1 minus P0 over delta x, meaning that P1 is equal to Fi plus 1 minus Fi over delta x. So that is P0 and P1. The last step is going to be to plug this into our function. So this will be our function P1 of, it's going to be P1 of xi. So P1 of xi is going to be equal to P0, which is Fi, plus P1, which is Fi plus 1 minus Fi over delta x. And this is going to be multiplied by x minus xi due to the fact that wherever we are along this, it is going to be this location, for example, is x minus xi. Hope that makes sense for everybody. It's just taking the equations and solving them for each other.